want to say hello to Adrian Wojnarowski, the general manager of St. Bonaventure men's basketball. And Adrian, it's been a whirlwind for you leaving ESPN, coming back to your alma mater, and working with the men's basketball program. And again, your job is basically to find players for Mark Schmidt to use on the basketball court. But talk about some of the things that you've had to do over the last year or so.
Well, first of all, Gary, great to be with you. Great to be here at the start of a new season. We've been anxious, from summer session into the preseason. It's a long process, and I think the guys have acclimated great, and we're excited to see them on the floor. But yeah, certainly, and it isn't just me; it's our entire coaching staff and Coach Schmidt. Everybody put a lot of work into bringing this group in to Bonaventure, and then trying to make sure that we, for us to, we had a lot of needs, and we had a lot of roster turnover, which I think in a lot of ways was a good thing. I think certainly getting DeSante Bowen back, second team preseason All-Atlantic 10, which is well-deserved. He, you saw it last year in the brief time he played with us, how he impacted winning, and he organizes us. He led us in the off season. So proud of the work he put in and the rehab on that foot. And then getting Xander Wedlow back, who's going to be back at full health here, I think sooner than later. But we had a lot of needs, and you look at our conference and the size, the physicality, we needed to improve our 3-point shooting. And I think we did that. We'll be able to spread the floor. And shoot the ball better, and positional versatility, guys who can play a couple different spots, and then sometimes more importantly, guard a few different positions, being able to do that. And I think the one thing you see with this roster, Gary, and I think you'll see this going forward, is sort of the diversity of where we're bringing in people from, certainly from Europe, from Canada, from the portal, American College Portal, Division I, Junior College, Division II. And so that has to be the key for us, is to exhaust every avenue all around the world to build our roster. There's so much talent available, and we've got to be really resourceful in who we bring in, and it was a year of learning for me about who can play for Coach Schmidt, who as I learn more being here every day about what's required to play for Coach, being able to, certainly learn, players who can read and react on the court, who can who are good decision makers in his system, certainly who are going to compete and guard people. There's lots of And I always felt I had a sense of who fits at Bonaventure, because you've seen through the years the kind of guys we've had success with and the guys who maybe you're going to have less success with. And we got back to a few, really important criteria. We wanted guys who were great teammates. We wanted guys who are gym rats. I tell guys all the time, if there's academically and then basketball and getting better at this craft, if you have like a third thing that's really important to you, we're probably not the place for you. And you've seen this group from the summer right through the preseason who love to be in the gym, who care about each other, who support each other. And it's been exciting to watch this team come together, gel, and now we're getting ready to start a new season.
Yeah, and some other obstacles with this particular class this year, the players who could not get here because of visa problems and things like that. Coach talked about it the other day on the pregame show about how it took a while for his whole team to get together, but it is starting to mesh, and that's what he likes. He said the sooner that we can get those 12 guys on one page, he said we're going to be a better team. So that's what he's looking at. He said it's been a little bit of a struggle this year, having 8 on campus, and then they go home and then get 4 on campus when they finally get here on the continental U.S. And he said, and then I get everybody together in August. He said, so it's been a little bit difficult, a little bit of difference this year. But he said he really likes the actual connectivity that the team has right now.
Yeah, it was important for us to recruit guys who have a history of being good teammates, who come from winning programs, and that's important. And I think we knew with our international players, we knew Achille Lanati was going to play for the national team this summer. That's important to him. Mm-hmm. That's important for his development and growth. He brings those great FIBA experiences and the winning and the huge part he's played in winning and winning medals for Italy. That helps St. Bonaventure. Andrew Osasui was playing 20 and under, this under 20 this past summer, and was almost the MVP of that tournament, won the gold medal, dominant defensively. And so, the visa situation took some time. Ilya Ermakov might have been the only one we could have had in earlier if there was quicker access for all players or students to the visas. It wasn't. And so, but these are experienced players. These are guys who've been well coached and who've really picked up on coach's system well. And I think for the international players, particularly, our system, coach's system mirrors, I think they're all very comfortable in kind of playing that 5-out offense, lots of reads, ball screens. The ball is being shared. What has been fun to watch with our team so far is I think we create good shots. And a lot of that is an unselfish group, but a group where, we have shooters around the floor. We have really good passers and unselfish players. And I think people are going to enjoy, the ball movement that we have with this group and how we're going to play. And I think, you see, we've lost some time with injuries in the preseason, like probably a lot of teams. But I think we'll be at full strength here sooner than later.
Yeah, and the one thing that I noticed with the team so far this year is sharing the basketball, but there's different ways coach can go now. He can use more than 7 guys that he's confident with. He's got big, he's got small. He can go put a team out there with the tallest guy 6'7", because they can guard everybody. But he can also go out there and put 2 centers on the floor and move Frank to a power forward and bring in Andrew and Xander. So he's got the ability to change and adapt and even force teams to guard him instead of the other way around. Yeah,
depth was important, and but quality depth. And so you have different players at different stages in their career, bringing in Daniel Bunaway and Caden Charles, who played a lot of college basketball games. And, Daniel's played, certainly a lot at the Division I level. Caden has been just we knew he was a really competitive kid, smart player, a winning player. I think people lose sight of how good Division II basketball is. And there's very little difference, if any, between the highest levels of Division II, where Caden played at North Georgia, where they went to the Elite Eight, where he was the MVP of the Southeast Regional. If you put those teams in some of our low major conferences, they would do great. And so we say Division II, but Caden's clearly a Division I player. We've seen it. But competitive, smart, team first, always in the gym. And Daniel was a player that, analytically, he jumped off the page. Chris Lowe deserves a lot of credit with Daniel, identified him, and then we got engaged with him and just felt like Bonaventure was a fit for his personality, great leader. We have such good older role models for our younger players, and our newer players who are really showing them, whose habits are really good. And, you're a program of habits on the court, off the court. And that's what's been fun about this group, is seeing how they, how committed they are. And but I think in college basketball, when you look at it, I think 2 things that you're going to have to win is really good guard play and be able to have size. In the NBA, it might be more of those big athletic wings. But if you look at who's winning, who's going to the NCAA tournament, who's advancing, having, size and really good guard play. And I think we've really improved in both areas. Frank Mitchell, he's in the best shape of his life. We're getting Frank at the best time and of his career, and just incredible shape, much more athletic than I think we even knew. And he's going to be tremendous. And obviously Joe Grahovic is going to be really good for us. I think he's going to get better as we go. I think a lot of it, though, is the work we've done in the Basketball Excellence Fund, that, our donors who've been generous, our business partners who we've worked with. I've tried to do some marketing things that can bring in revenue, and we have to continue to be creative in there. We don't have to be at the top of the Atlantic 10 to be able to compete in the Atlantic 10 financially. But we've got to be in an area where it's a piece of the pie for players. And there's nobody at Bonaventure, because we necessarily offered them the most money, or they didn't have other options that they could have gone to. But what I've loved about this group is, and in recruiting them, they all bought into our environment and who we are. And you see these guys at the warming house and working with the RAM, the traveling program that helps folks with whether it's dental work, eye appointments, food. And, our guys, the cystic fibrosis walk in Ellicottville, not only did our guys go there to support Coach Fisk, our guys, at the end all made donations. And in recruiting, you'd come across some situations where it felt transactional and it felt like someone's going to take the most money. And I got out of those pretty quick. And we wanted to make sure we were involved with guys who really felt our place. And I think we've got that. And in terms of DeSante Bowen coming back, he's somebody who loves this university and who really worked through his rehab. And so I think people will feel good about that. And I think they've seen it in their interactions with our guys on campus, or maybe even off campus. I hear it from folks. And but basketball excellence, I just think, listen, we have an operating budget in college, and for our program, for any program. And, we're paying for charter flights. We're paying for, the food that we supplement, team meals, and we're paying a recruiting budget. And players' salaries are just part of that operating budget. And I think that's how we have to look at it, because we can't win without all of these different elements coming together. And that doesn't mean we have to abandon what our values are. It doesn't mean, I think we lean into them even more. Every day I tell myself, there are 8 or 10 players on this planet who can help us win an Atlantic 10 championship, who buy into our environment, who fit here, and whose families value our environment. And I see it with the families of the kids that we brought in, how much they love the stuff we're doing outside of basketball with them. In the community, and they love that for their sons. And those players are out there, and it's our job to find them, recruit them, and then work to give them a great experience where they stay. The days of the 4-year, having a team of 4-year players is over. We need high major players to win at St. Bonaventure. We're doing it on mid-major money. And it's not realistic to think someone's going to stay for 4 years at that far below their market value. But if we can keep them 2 years here, or get them at the back end of their career for a really important year, then they've helped us and we've helped them. And I think Melvin Council would look, Melvin still, every time I walk by DeSante Bowen, or not every time, I see him, DeSante's got him on FaceTime. I'll get a text from Melvin, our staff does, our players. Melvin loved his time at Bonaventure. He benefited greatly, and he's got an incredible life-changing opportunity at Kansas. And we can sell that to the next guy. And I know it looks different to people than what it used to be, but that doesn't mean we don't have guys who love the place, and when they go out on the floor, just take great pride in wearing that Bonaventure uniform. And part of it too, when we have Sam Stithen, having Sam talk to our guys, I made sure our players know Sam's story and what he's represented, what he meant to this university. We've had, Barry Munger, when we went to Toronto to do that public practice, Barry Munger and Rob Samuels and Vidal Messiah come and talk to our team and had dinner. And I think the more we bring those guys back and have them interact with our team, Coach Saddlein came and watched practice, and you might have saw on social media, Coach talked to the group. It resonates with them. And I think we can't just say around here, once a Bonnie, always a Bonnie, and then you don't see these guys around.
Right.
We want our players to see Sam Stith is 88 years old and he's coming back, and Coach Saddlein played here in the 60s and coached in the 70s here and has an incredible history here. He's back on campus and cares. I think they need to see that, and I think all those things are a piece of the puzzle of how you build of how we've got to operate moving forward.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to Sam being and able to talk to him. I had him about 10 years ago. He came to a tournament down in Florida, and at that time he was 78, and he was out there, and he told me that he would be playing right now if they let him. He's that enthusiastic player and talks so well about the university and his time here.
Yeah.
I think he'd be a great listen for those guys. And so much. I mean, I remember Jimmy Barron and Essie Hollis meeting the team in Florida after a game, getting permission to go in the locker room and telling those guys, this is why you play for St. Bonaventure.
Yeah, and we are not going to bring in guys who that doesn't resonate and have value with them, and that was really important this year, and it's important, and it's why we'll have success with this group. I think this group's going to get better as the year goes on. I think as these young guys become more experienced, Joe's still new to the. 18 months ago, Joe was playing at 24/7 Fitness, and he was living out of his truck.
Yeah,
and he made a jump to junior college basketball where he was really successful. Now this is another pretty big jump, and so it's going to look different in February than it's going to look maybe in November with him. Just like Ilya, Achille, Andrew, and some of our other young guys. And so, but we've got veteran guard play. You're going to see those guys, I think, play bigger roles as the year goes on. I think we have, like you said, we have depth. I think Coach can run. He can play a big lineup with Andrew and Frank, and when Joe might be out of the game. Mm-hmm. And, Daniel's versatility. Caden's a wrecking ball out there. He's physical. He's in the middle of everything. And so those kind of guys, I think you're going to see different guys in different nights step up and play a bigger role. And, the new locker room, the new film room, those guys, there's such pride that our players had in having an environment like that. That's a high major locker room in terms of facilities, and those guys love it. And that's brought our team even closer together, because I think you're seeing our guys spend more time when, between classes. They can go down there, they can take a nap if they need to, they can log in, they can plug their laptop in and get work done there. They can play video games to blow off steam for a little bit. And that stuff's important in team building, and the generosity of our donors and folks and allowing us to have that. And it's a great recruiting tool for us.
Yeah. And we've been in this series, we've been talking about the academic side and even admissions, talking with Dean Whitcomb about admissions and how important athletics is as they try to get students to come onto campus. So obviously trying to mesh both sides, the academic and the student and the athlete, so to speak, is a huge advantage if you can get that done.
It is. And I mean, you look at our upperclassmen, in midterms of, Daniel, Caden, Desante. I mean, these guys are they're taking high level business courses and doing great and have interests. And part of what we want to do is get them with folks, what we want for our players, we want to add value to their lives as they come through Bonaventure and put people in their lives they can take with them the rest of the way. And maybe I can help with that in basketball with them, but also more importantly off the court. And there's so many alums who want to give and help and be mentors and help guide our guys, whether they want to get into business or economics, and like those things are really important. And so you mentioned Dean, like just Dean's enthusiasm when he gives the campus tour and his knowledge. He grew up around Bonaventure and loves Bonnie's basketball. That's a great asset for us when he's just taking families around on the tours. And things like we're having, we've had several player agents come through campus. I want the agents who represent the players to see campus and to watch practice and to get a sense around, because they might have 10, 20, 30, 40 clients in the portal or at different times, And they know, I want them to understand who fits us. And so then they're coming to you with ideas for players. And, the more success we have in any different area, whether it's with Italian players, with Russian players, with Canadian players, when they have a good experience, it helps us get the next guy. And so, that's what so much of the recruiting is. But getting those folks on campus and think Bonaventure is not for everybody. It doesn't have to be for everybody. Like I said, I remind myself all the time, this isn't football. I don't need a recruiting class of 35 guys. We need 8 or 9, and we can, and I think we did it this year, and we can do it. But I think folks, who give to the Basketball Excellence Fund, who can help us to, as we provide to them Zoom calls and experiences, we want to get, folks who donate to that, come in the locker room, come meet our players, come spend time, travel with us. And to give them some experiences too as benefits to it. But the Basketball Excellence Fund for us is our lifeblood right now. And there's no question that we have, a gap to close with a lot of our competitors. But it's an important piece of the puzzle. And, our contracts are insured through our partnership with Players Health. So if there are injuries and a player is out and misses a certain percentage of games, that money comes back into our budget. So if you give and you see an injury and a player's out and you said, my money just went down the drain, it didn't go down the drain. The contracts are insured. And so we get the benefit of essentially the insurance company paying that player's money, and then the money comes back into our account. And so I think all those things hopefully give people, some reassurance of that there's a lot of thought going into this process, and that we have a process, and we have a lot of metrics we use about the compensation and where it fits and how it's equitable in a marketplace that's really competitive.
Now, with the fund, how do people? I know you've reached out to hundreds, if not thousands, of people. Somebody who hasn't heard about this yet, how do they get a hold and get involved in this?
Yeah, if you go on our website, you can see a link to the Basketball Excellence Fund where you can, pay online through credit card, through checking, but also, you can reach out to us at the university and we can help you with that process. And the other thing that's important to us, if you have travel needs, if you have trucking logistic needs, we have partners where we can get back by putting people together and helping people get competitive rates, competitive payment processing for businesses. That kind of recurring revenue is huge for us, where we're not necessarily asking you to write a check, but these are things that if you're traveling, if you have, again, trucking logistics, if you have a business that uses payment processing, that we have partners who will get you that their job's to help you save money on those things, give you great service, and then we get a portion of all of that back. And so, any of those elements, we'd love to talk to folks, and, certainly they can reach out to me at Bonaventure. A Wojnarowski at sbu.edu is my email. And so, there's lots of ways folks can help, and we need everybody to be able to. The one thing I'm more confident of than ever after being here for a year plus is, even in this very difficult environment, we can do this. I know we can do this, and we are doing it, but we need everybody on board in whatever capacity they can help us, to help us get there.
Yeah, and again, this a couple of years ago, you might get an international player, but now you're seeing more and more coming into the U.S., and I think probably because of the basketball situation, the portal situation, has made it more of a thing for international players.
There's money to be made in a way that doesn't exist for young players in Europe, and there's just an incredible amount of talent all over the world, who are good academically, who are advanced basketball wise, who, just like there is certainly still here in the States, but we've got to go, whether it's relationships or, we've been very attractive to the international players for a lot of guys. We're a great first step into U.S. college life. It's a small school, 2,000 students. It doesn't feel too big, yet we're in a big-time conference in the Atlantic 10. So St. Bonaventure is unique, and it's an advantage for us in a lot of situations where our size and our close-knit community, coupled with the fact that you're playing in a league that in any given year is ranked 6th or 7th among in the power rankings among other high major conferences, that's an advantage. And so there's we might be the first stop on the way somewhere else. We might be the only stop, but we've got to exhaust every scenario and be as creative as we can and build off the relationships that we have out there in the basketball world, and having, Coach Schmidt, the respect that he commands, and people know their players are going to get better when they come here, and they're going to leave better for the experience. And, all those are factors that, we're going to lean on in recruiting, and then we're going to work really hard to keep those guys as long as we can on campus.
Well, I'll tell you, so far this year, it's been very exciting to watch this basketball team grow from where they were and when they got to campus to where they are right now. And as Coach likes to say, we want to be playing our best basketball in the end of February and into March. And this may be the calling for this team right now.
Yeah, I agree. And I think this group, you always say that you want to get better, but this is a group that I think the experience level, the talent is there. This is a talented group. And I think that this team's going to look, there might be some moments in November and December where you go, oh boy. But we're going to be better for it when we get into conference play. And, I think people are going to enjoy the way this team competes, the way they share the ball, the way they defend, and whatever happens with this team, what we've seen is they come back in the gym the next day ready to work again and wanting to learn and get better. And that's what, that's all you can ask for. But I think people are going to see this as a group that takes a lot of pride with wearing that Bonnie uniform. And they've been so excited to play in front of our fans. And they were really taken by, an exhibition against Alfred to see the student turnout and the town turnout. And they're like, is it always like this? And we're like, you haven't seen anything yet. And so DeSante and Xander said, you guys haven't seen it yet, and the coaches. And so it's fun to see how excited they are to play in front of the Bonnie fans. Because, and so we can't wait for, obviously we got a really tough opener with Bradley, one of the best programs, one of the best mid-major programs in the country, one of the best programs in the Midwest. And then to obviously come home and open up in the RC against Canisius. And hopefully we'll have a big enthusiastic crowd. And I know our guys are going to feed off that.
All right. Well, Adrian, it is a pleasure always to talk with you, and continue success for the program. I know that if this is just the beginning of what you've been able to do on campus, I can't wait down the road.
No, we're having a lot of fun. We're doing it together. We've got incredible staff and support staff, and it takes everyone at Bonaventure. So we appreciate it, Gary. It'll be fun. It'll be fun to share this season with you.
All right. And, of course, we'll be talking with later in the season as we get a little bit closer to playoff time. We'll talk again.
Absolutely.